Uh, well, I I had a very toxic lifestyle when I was a
Right.
younger man. I worked as a broker in the City of London.
Did you?
Oh yeah, and that was like chaos. I mean, that was proper. It was before Wolf of Wall Street, and that's where they got their ideas from.
Yes.
And so I was right in the thick of that, and I have to say I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was fantastic, but it just about killed me.
Really?
And after about, I don't know, 10 to 12 years, something like that, my then wife, this one who lives down the Algarve now, was a very spiritual person. And she said to me, look, you're going to have to, it coincided with the death of my dad as well. And that sent me
Right.
off an even bigger drinking binge, if that was possible. And,
Wow.
and somehow she just said, you're going to have to find something that's going to help you. And so I knew she was right, so I started looking around and I found Tai Chi. And I really liked Tai Chi. It was very nice, really calming and relaxing. Um, it didn't quite feel like I'd found the right place. And then a friend of mine was a yoga teacher. And so I spent a couple of years, I did probably 2 years of Tai Chi, maybe 2 years of Hatha yoga. And both of them were good, but somehow they just felt like, it wasn't what I was looking for. And just by sheer chance, one day I discovered a book in Foyle's bookshop in London
Mhm.
that said Qigong on it. And I remembered in the back of my head my Tai Chi teachers talking about Qigong, and they're very cheeky. They say things like, oh, it's just a few warm up exercises, as opposed to telling the actual truth, which is that it's 5,000 years old, and Tai Chi is about 500 years old, and
Yeah.
Tai Chi comes directly from Qigong. But yeah, we'll let them off with that.
Yeah.
And in fact, Qigong is really the root of all Chinese medicine. Acupuncture grows out of it, herbal medicine grows out of it, the entire kind of understanding of energy comes out of it, and Chinese culture is built with that as one of its kind of foundations, really. And so I found this book and I just thought, wow, this makes absolute sense. I started reading it and it was all about Chinese culture and it was all about energy and Chinese medicine and things like that. It was only when I got to the very end of the book that I found that there were some exercises, and I thought, oh, I could do these, and I started doing them, and they just fitted into my life so easily. The
Mm.
nice thing about them is that you can do two or three, standalone ones. You can add them and make a set of 10 or 20 or 5 or 3, or, if you've got 10 minutes, you can do 10 minutes worth. If you want to do an hour or 2 hours, you can easily do that as well. So it scales up and scales down. And it worked really well with my, sort of crazy city life. I was able to start using Qigong. And as soon as I did that, my feeling about my working day changed. I
Wow.
suddenly found that I was kind of arriving at work, and instead of wanting to have two fire buckets of coffee and 10 fags, I was arriving alert, awake, and feeling protected in a way, because it's a really hostile environment that I worked in, But suddenly I thought, I just felt like nobody could touch me. It was amazing. So with that kind of, I don't know, force field, mental attitude around me, it was very quick that I was able to actually leave the city and leave that toxic job behind. And I'm quite happy to say Qigong saved my life.